vodka, and Red Bull, helping bros get white girl drunk since 1999. Yeah, welcome again to another episode of It's the Booze Talking. I'm your host, James Jacobson, and I've tried to address some of the issues with the last video, namely one, the video quality was so poor, and the sound quality was so poor, but also, two, the lighting was really bad. So I'm hoping that with my new setup that you guys are somewhat satisfied with the changes that we've made. Alright, so this first set of questions actually comes from two of my subscribers. Well, not really subscribers, more like friends that know that I'm doing this project. I pleaded with them to ask me questions that I could put on the show. Is the Mighty Ducks 2 quote, "Greenland is covered in ice, but Iceland is very nice," accurate? I was fortunate enough actually to stay in Greenland twice for about 3 weeks at a time, thanks to my job. I was in a town called Kangerlussuaq, and not really a whole lot going on there. And for you, well, let's face it, Americans who don't know where Greenland is, think North Pole. Greenland is it a territory? Is it an annex? Greenland is covered in ice, but Iceland is very nice. That is actually 100% accurate. Greenland is, in fact, covered in ice. As a matter of fact, the only real habitable zone of Greenland is the coastline, where like the fjords meet the water. Everything else, and like literally this town, Kangerlussuaq that I was in, was like on the coast. Like you could walk down to the horribly frozen beaches in this place, and less than 5 miles away was a legit glacier called Russell Glacier. I actually had the opportunity to drive out there and actually climb around and like look at this thing, and it was like the ice wall from Game of Thrones. Like, and I'm not even joking. And also, Iceland is actually a volcanic island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and it's actually quite temperate and very nice because the soil is very rich, and there's a lot of like geothermal heating going on there, and the weather isn't half bad. So yeah, that's accurate. Who is your favorite Disney princess and why? You might want to try and pretend that you're a badass or something and say that you weren't, but let's face it, we've all seen, Alice in Wonderland, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, Beauty and the Beast, whatever. Just admit it to yourself and let's move on. I'm gonna have to say that Belle from Beauty and the Beast was my favorite, because she actually had like an interest in like education. She wasn't just some like, well, okay, so she wasn't some girl that was like totally obsessed with like running away from home and like falling in love with the first boy that ever showed any interest in her. She wasn't some poor psychologically traumatized young girl on a massive LSD trip, and she wasn't asleep through that the entire movie. Anyway, so yeah, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, with second runner-up being Jasmine from Aladdin, because let's face it, not very many girls can rock the hammer pants. All right, let's see. Have you ever played Magic: The Gathering? Have you ever beaten up someone who plays Magic: The Gathering? What was it like when you lost your virginity? No one has a good answer to this question. I challenge anyone to think of a good answer to this question and be honest. Why, when you're stoned, do you feel the need to say, "I'm stoned"? Because we have some deep-seated need to, like, share our adventures with other people. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because, To be completely honest, sometimes when you're stoned, things are really funny or like really confusing, and you need to share that experience with other people, and either so that they can laugh with you, laugh at you, or be as confused about the world as you are. Let's see. Do you think we can ever get a decent Spider-Man movie? So, I'm gonna say no. There's probably never. We're probably never gonna get a decent Spider-Man movie. Could a decent Spider-Man movie be made? Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, you put some good money into it. You put some good actors into it, and like, yeah, it's definitely possible. But are we ever gonna get one? Probably not. And do I really care in the long run? No, because I want to see some more Avengers. Yeah. This is a tough one. What is the greatest cocktail ever? Now, this is pretty subjective, right? Because, what I like might be different from what other people like. Is complexity important? Is the kind of alcohol in the cocktail important? These are all things that like the individual person has to like weigh yes or no. I'm gonna have to go with a little drink called the Cuba Libre. It's essentially a rum and coke with lime juice in it. Man, I could drink those all day long, and there's probably been a few days where I have, and I don't remember them. Do you think the world will end one day, and how? Will the world end? Yes. It's actually a certainty that the world will end. But, I mean, I don't think that's what you actually meant to ask. I think you meant to ask, do you think that one day the world will end for humans, and how? Man, this stuff's kicking in. I hope not. I really hope not. Because, we actually have the technology right now to make sure that that never happens. And the way that you do that is by going out into space, by exploring the stars and setting up, colonies on other planets other than Earth. And there's no two ways about it that eventually the probability for a extinction level event happening on Earth eventually goes to 1. Meaning, at some point, there's going to be an asteroid or a comet that is going to extinguish nearly all life as we know it. And, life is very resilient. And, I mean, sure, there'll probably be some bacteria or whatever that, like, live near, like, deep ocean chemical vents and stuff. Mammals, gone. Birds, gone. Primates, gone. Most multicellular organisms probably will disappear. I mean, as a species, humankind, if we can get over our bullshit and, like, put our money and our efforts towards things that will actually, like, save ourselves in this situation, we could do it. We could do it right now. We could do it 20 years ago. But we haven't. I mean, like, honestly, colonizing Mars would be the greatest thing humankind could ever do. Or even colonizing the moon. Because it would prove to ourselves that if we could do it there, we could do it anywhere. And eventually we would do it anywhere. And I think that that's the greatest thing that we could ever accomplish. I'm really optimistic that that's going to happen. And, sure, we're going to encounter pitfalls along the way. And it's going to cause us to have to innovate and, like, invent new things. And, like, endure some, like, serious hardships. But it will also ensure our future in the cosmos. And, like, there's nothing more noble than that. So there you go. Alright, that's about enough of that, I think. Anyway, thank you for your time. If you like this video, and hopefully I will make more of them, hit subscribe or like, you know, and if you have any questions of your own, feel free to leave them in the comment section of this video down below, or you can email them to or you can email them to theboozetalking@gmail.com. So hope to see you later. If you have any questions, let me know. And just remember, not knowing how to do something is no excuse for not doing it. Thank you. Good night. Gaston was a douchebag, but, you know, he'd probably be fun to party with at some point.